video series on the Age of Sigmar, and we want to know, of these two from the Tempest of Souls, which do you want us to do first? We have the Stormcast Eternals, number 1. So all you gotta do is do Stormcast or Sacrosanct in the comments, and let us know if you want us to paint these guys first. I'll give you an example of kind of what I'm going for that color scheme. So it's going to have a maroon cloaks and a silver with some highlights there. And then we also have the Nighthaunts. I haven't painted any of these guys yet because I'm thinking about doing them similar to Dementors from Harry Potter. I did prime a little bit. So there's one guy. He looks pretty cool. So let us know what you want us to do. So this pack is the Tempest of Souls, which is the smaller starter set. It's a smaller 2-player starter set from Age of Sigmar. The big one is Soul Wars, and the smaller one is Tempest of Souls. This is pretty cool. So this is a great one for either beginners or people new to Age of Sigmar. So they have these cards, which actually has the stat lines on them. So you automatically get all of these when you get this pack. Look at all that. Literally all of them. It comes with a core rules set. So that's the book there. And then it also has the kind of lore background. And this one's pretty hefty. This Tempest of Souls book is a little bit more on the thick side. Let's see how many pages that is. 80, 90, almost 100 pages for that one, for the lore side, which is pretty cool. So between the core set, the lore one, the instruction manual, which is great, shows you the completed Nighthaunts, and then the completed, this one says Stormcast, but it's the Sacrosanct Chamber. They look pretty cool. And you also get this battle board, which this is the plastic, shiny plastic stuff. And that one is actually similar to Kill Team in its width, but it's a lot longer, which is interesting. And then on the inside of this box, which is the one that the figures are on top of, the models are on top of, is actually a kind of a box similar to the old 40K 2-player starter that had a box you can put your dudes on, which acts as a big building, which is neat. So if you're just starting off and you want some sort of terrain, actually I can move these out of the way, show you. Bam! It's that thing right there. Pretty cool. And that one actually literally is from the inside of this box. So let us know what you want to paint up first, and then I'm going to show you guys how to assemble if you need an easy to build set. And these are all easy to build, which means they snap fit together. Here is a good example here. Nice and fit together. You can see a little line there, and that line is basically where you join it. If you don't use glue, that's what it looks like. And I can show you what it looks like if you do use glue. But all of these guys I did so that any beginning players can say, you know, it's okay if it has that line there. It is a-okay. So these guys look like this on the sprue. And the sprue has numbers like 27, 28, 29, and if this one had another one, it'd be 30. I think that guy just has 3 parts. And the cool thing about the Games Workshop sprues is that they don't have non-numbered stuff, or their instructions aren't weird. They're very straightforward. They tell you exactly how to assemble it in what order. So you would put, for instance, 27 and then 28 and then 29, and it's nice and logical. Some of their older sets weren't necessarily like that, but the new stuff is amazing. So yeah, let me know which ones you guys want me to start painting first, and then tomorrow we'll start hitting them up with some color, which is great. Again, this is what I'm looking for the Sacrosanct Chamber, silver and maroon, highlighting up to a nice, you know, strong red there on their capes and cloaks. And then the Nighthaunt is going to start with our Nighthaunt Gloom. And I'll wash that down and add some darker colors, make them a little bit more like Dementors. Very similar to this box, maybe a little less green. We'll see. Might go a little more bluish with it. This guy in particular, the Executioner, I've already painted one of him before, and he's really cool. I'll show you how to paint some wood colors to make the wood look really realistic. There's different kinds of woods you can do, from cooler woods all the way, like walnuts, all the way through warmer woods. So let me know what you want me to paint, and we'll make that happen. So let me take a second, clear these guys off over this way, and we'll go ahead and get this one guy start assembling. There we go. Move these guys over. And there. All right. So all you need in order to properly assemble an easy-to-build set, you're going to want an X-Acto knife, not to get them off the sprue. To get them off the sprue, you're going to need a pair of clippers. When you get a clipper pair, you want to make sure that you have a flat edge here. If it's flat, that's great. It means it goes up against the surface, the side. When you're looking at your sprue, you're always going to want to clip the flat side closer to the model. So if you've got the sprue here and the model here, flat side goes against the model. You want to get it as close as possible against the model and then gently clip. And there we go. I think I actually already did that one before. And that's off. Do the same thing all the way around the sprue. So this one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different connections. I'm going to get them all. So sometimes it'll be closer on this side compared to the other side. So you're going to have to put it above or below. So in this case, you can see here, that one is from above. So we want to get it closer on this side. Push it against that edge, nice and flat. Clip, nice and firm, nice and strong. Same thing over here. And clip. And 2 more. One's on this shoulder, as you can see right there. We're going to clip that one off. Bam, and it's out. There we go. Now, I mentioned earlier about that X-Acto knife, which is great. So you got the blade here, and then you have the flat side. You can use the flat side and gently get some of this off from where the sprue's left. And you just look at it, and like right here. So do you see? I'm going to bring this closer. Do you see right there? That's part of his cloak, except that is actually from the sprue. So here I can get a little bit more up close with a clipper. There we go. You can sometimes use the thumbnail if you want to use that and push a little bit off. And if there's any left, I'm going to gently put the back of the blade, and don't cut into yourself, please. Always make sure to do this so you got your finger and you're scraping away from your flesh. Don't catch your flesh. No blood for the blood god here. This is all, maybe when we're doing corn we can do that. And you're going to gently scrape that off until it's nice and smooth. And once it's smooth, you're going to prime over it, and it's not even, you can't even notice it then. And that's it. So that's one part off. Let's grab the other 2 parts real quick. Got number 28 and 29. So you can see his head there. Super cool head. Let's get that off. Off with his head. I cracked myself up. All right, head's there. And then his front side. Let's get in here with the elbow. Bam. The foot. And sometimes you want to check the foot. Okay? If one foot on these guys wants to go inside a base, it's going to have a hexagonal slot there that's going to slot into the base. And I'll show you that in a second. Almost done. Bam. And bam. One more. And again, you don't have to be perfect with this because you can always go back. But it's always better to take less off than more off, because you can always shave off the excess that you took off before. All right, that guy is done, I believe. I'll take a look over him in a second here with the instructions, but I'm pretty sure that's those 3. All right, so with here, we have the pegs. Sorry, the pegs over here. Derp. And in the holes. And you can see how they line up, so once you place it together. But don't place them together yet, because what is he missing? The head. You can do 2 things. You can use no glue at all, and you can find where this guy's head fits into this. So in this case, you can, between using the instructions and fitting him in there, you can find the perfect spot. He's probably looking over to the left. Yep. And he fits in nice and snug. And that's it. Let me check my comments here, see if everything's good. Hey, Ross. You want to do Nighthaunts? Okay. That's 1 vote for Nighthaunts. Y'all let me know. Once his head is turned, keep it this way so his head doesn't flip off and then come out. And then all you got to do is press in. Now, before you do that, one thing to think about is sometimes the fit isn't perfectly secure. So if you look at this guy here, make sure you can see that little gap in his shoulder. That is partly to do with the fact that I didn't use glue, so I didn't really push it together and then glue it together. And the other part is that these pegs fit literally up into that model. So it does become a secure fit, but you might want to clip off just a little bit off the edges. And if you clip off just a tiny bit off the edges, it should fit also still snugly, but should give you a little bit of more snugness on the actual fit. Just a tiny bit off of that one. Nice and easy. And then when you push it in, it's no problem. But another thing you can do is go ahead and use your plastic glue for this. We sell all kinds at the store. We have Army Painter. I use this one. I love it. But we have the Army Painter plastic glue at the store. And then when you're using that, all you want to do is run it along the edges of a model that look like they would meet. So when I say that, you see this flat part in his shoulder there? There's a flat part on the other shoulder, and those two things are going to meet. So if it looks like it's awkwardly flat compared to other things, it's probably combining with another part of the model, and that's the part that you glue together. You don't want to go too crazy because it's going to seep out if you do it all over and too much. But if you put a very tiny amount on the edges, maybe a little bit more on the pegs, then you're good to go. Give me a second here to press this out. There we go. Oops. So here on the peg, nice and strong. There we go. And then you can see here on the flat edges, I'm going to just put a tiny bit here. Along here, I can put a little bit on there. And then along this cape, I forget what that's called, but it's the part where it's not like a full cape. It's like a half cape thing. You'd think I would remember that with my history in... It's going to be a history minor in school, and I love medieval history, but I forget. So another flat edge there. And then we're going to put a little bit into where his head goes, so his head never moves. There we go. Now, get his head looking back there. Make sure he's looking in the right spot. And then all we got to do is place this together. And once we place it together, we can hold it firmly for about 30 seconds. I'll line it up. And then this can sometimes take a second to make sure you get the pegs lined up right. When I did all these guys, there was one guy that would not go together. He was one of the Nighthaunts. It turns out I did something weird with the head before. Come on. You can do it. What have I done? And that's the cool thing about the easy to build is you don't have to... You can dry fit it at first. Just don't press it all together until you're really ready. In this case, I think when I cut that little bit off... There we go. And he snapped together. Perfect. Bam. Now, I'm going to press this together firmly and hold it because later on, this lines that are combining the two plastics will be less noticeable if I really hold it together and let that glue dry more. And then once that's done, he's ready to be put into the base, and I'll show you that. So nice and strong. You can see that line is much less noticeable than with the other figures that were not done with glue, but you do not have to use glue if you don't want to. As long as the model says easy to build, it doesn't require glue. So for any new painters, you don't want to use glue, don't want to have to bother with it, don't worry about it. Nice, there we go. I think that's good. If there's any other excess glue and it dries, you just scrape it off. You can use the X-Acto knife, use the back of it, or whatever you want to do. Sometimes I go in with my thumb here and just get it off. But if you use your thumb, it can end up spreading out the glue, and that can get on the details. Bam. He's assembled, and all you got to do now is find the hexagonal hole right there. Now these guys are really easy to go in and out and just find the right spot and just put it on. Now the reason why you don't need to glue this necessarily is you might want to take the guy off and do the basing and then put him back in. Otherwise, he's good to go. And that's literally all it is to it. Follow the instruction, use a tiny bit of glue, and then make sure you cut off those pegs that you use to put these guys on, and you'll never have to worry about these big old holes that sometimes you get without the glue. Cool. Alright, so I think next time we're going to start painting up the Nighthaunts. We'll start with a base coat and then go quickly into the shading on that one. So thanks y'all for joining me. If you want to, go ahead and pick up a Start Collecting Age of Sigmar. We can do this all together. We can paint at the same time. I'll be on Twitch, YouTube. It's all Gigabytes TV on the bottom right there. And then we'll paint together. If that sounds good to you, just let me know what you're going to pick up, and then we'll get it all going. Thanks y'all. Have a great night.